Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we've got the Camaro back in the shop, and today we're going to be going over what do we need to change for our first test session and licensing. What exactly is our licensing consisting of on there. We'll do a walk around on the car of things that we need to add back on here, what we're going to change. We're going to make an entire list, and we're going to go through all of that stuff here. So let's go ahead and get to the list portion and see what we need to do to get this thing ready to hit the track up here in Minnesota. Alright everybody, so we are making the list. Al's over here. He's going to start airing up tires here in a sec because we have a few things that we need to change on here. Let's go over our crazy list that we have up here and see exactly what we're going to be doing. So, what we have going on, we noticed when we were down in Georgia, we have a passenger front wheel bearing. Those just need to be tightened up a little bit because they were new bearings at the beginning of the year. Our turbo drain needs a new O-ring put on there. Our carb jets, we're going to increase the orifice size on our carb jets. We're going to build a new belly pan. It kind of got crushed when we were down there. So we're going to build a new one and just make a couple changes. We are putting a new anti-roll bar on. Well, Al can actually tell you more about the anti-roll bar and what was happening there. So
yeah, it's too small, and what was happening is the car was allowing the car to twist. Basically, the frame to kind of twist, and instead of holding both front tires at the same level, it would actually change the level of the both front tires. So we know we have to go with the bigger anti-roll bar.
Our transmission overflow can, the vent is not venting on there. Whenever we try to fill it up, it doesn't want to do anything. We actually have to unhook it. So we want to get a new breather vent on that. And then obviously we're going to fill the transmission down there. We're going to check our rods and main bearings. We have to swap for slicks. We're going to scale the car. We're actually going to be scaling the car twice. We want to see, after all the changes we made at the track, if you guys remember back, it's been a month now, we would sling the bars here, change the bars here. We were changing ride heights and doing everything at the track. Well, we're curious as to what it did on the scales and where it's sitting at now. So we're going to put everything back on the car where it sits now, and then when we change everything over, it's going back on the scales. We have our wheelie bars to put on. We're going to put both chutes back on there. We're going to change our gears at the track when we go to our first test session. We have to raise the crank, and we have to build a new number 4 plug wire. So a lot of stuff to do. We're going to get on top of this. We'll have it fired back up here soon, everything like that, and getting back out there. Al has the other chute, and he's going to show you exactly, well, one, why we took it off, and then kind of what it entails just to put it back on.
Well, it was real simple. We took it off because we wanted to kind of reduce a little bit of weight on the car. We knew that we had a very long shutdown area where we were going, to the point where even at 200 miles an hour, if one chute didn't come out, you still had enough room, be hard on the brakes, and be able to get stopped. So it wasn't a big concern at that particular track. Now, moving on, the tracks that we're going to be going to here have a lot shorter shutdown on there, so we're gonna just increase the amount of parachute that we have, go back to the dual parachute. It's very easy to hook up with the pneumatics on there. I basically have to just take and put these 4 bolts right here through the mounts, secure it on, and then hook up the air line to the other, and then the main airline will go back to here.
So, and then that saved us some weight when we were down there too.
Yeah, it's about 15 pounds. Well, I want to air up the tires, and I want to get the chassis set correctly so that when we do scale this, everything is going to be as it was when we were in Georgia.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to replicate everything on the car right now as to what it was when we were in Georgia, so that we can take and get all of our weights, measurements, and all that stuff, put it in a catalog or a book, so that next time we go back to the radials, we've got all that information right there. We don't have to try to reinvent the wheel.
Perfect.
We know where we're at.
Morning, guys. So today we are going to get the oil pan off. We're going to check all the rod bearings. We already took care of putting the parachute on and got a couple other things done on there yesterday once we finally got the car back inside. And today Al's going to be at home taking care of a couple of things, so I'm going to go ahead and knock out all of the rod bearings, checking them all, retorquing it, getting the oil pan cleaned up, put back on, everything there. I'm going to take you guys through the entire, experience and everything, what we have to do on that. So right now I am driving real quick over to Home Depot, my favorite place in the world. Shouldn't say in the world, but one of my favorite places. I'm gonna go pick up a cordless Milwaukee ratchet. I bought a bunch of Milwaukee tools. I like them. They work really, really well. But I don't like having to hold. I'm being very, you know, childish here. But I don't like having to hold my impact up when I'm doing rod bearings. Okay. It's not a heavy impact to Milwaukee, but it's just I don't want to do it. So I want a cordless ratchet for when I'm putting everything on and off for the rod bolts. So I'm gonna go pick one of those up, and then we're gonna go back and start tearing this whole thing apart. So now I got quick set up and changed, and let's get to going on these rod bearings and everything here. Let's show you a quick deal. We got some batteries, and they didn't have a 3/8, pissed me off, but they had a 1/4 inch, and I have a bunch of the sockets I need in 1/4 inch drive, 12 point even, so I got that, and then I can always adapt it up to a 3/8 because this isn't for torque and stuff, it's to make things quicker, so I was pretty happy about that. And then they had a sale on gloves, so I got some cheap gloves. Anyways, so to do this, everything here, I grabbed all my tools already. I'm gonna use a bunch of 1/4 inch stuff on here because then I torque it with the 1/2 inch. What do we have? 3/8 and 3/8. Oil pan is all 3/8 12 point on there. We've got 1/2 inch 12 point wrench that I'm gonna do for underneath there. 1/2 inch 12 point socket for all of the rod bolts on there. We've got extension to be able to get everything on there for the new ratchet. I hate oil leaks, so the oil pan is pretty much glued on there, and so I'm gonna need a pry bar to get in there and get that loose. And torque wrench with 1/2 inch drive, 12 point 1/2 inch. It's always a fun one there. So, and then an all 16ths for anything else you may have forgotten. So let's get underneath here. So we got the oil pan off, and so far everything looks pretty good. When we looked in the oil pan, there wasn't a bunch of glitter or anything in there, so nothing I'm too worried about that yet. So we'll go up in here. What I like to do is we'll start at the front, we'll bring this down, and we'll check the first rod and second rod on here, and that is going to be number 1 and number 2, and then we go number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We go right through and we do the entire thing. We'll take this cap off here, and we'll check the bearings, make sure everything is good, put a new bearing in if we need to, put it back together, go to the next one, do the same thing. Before we go to over here, we torque these rods. Then we go over here, do the same thing, go through everything, torque these 2 rods, and then come back through. Once I've gone through and done all 8 here, then I'm gonna go through and then I just double check, and I start at 8 again, and I work my way back, and I just recheck the rod torque. The worst mistake you could do is miss a rod bolt when you're doing something like this, and then your preventative maintenance actually caused you more issues. So I'll check rod bolts a couple of times, you know, on there. Well, let's go ahead and start getting this stuff apart and see exactly where everything sits. So actually everything's looking pretty good here for this. I'll show you this here. We already had a little bit of debris in this, and we actually think it was from when we initially tried to fire up the engine on here, that because it took us so long with all the cranking. If you go back and watch the video when we fired it up and saw the big fireball and everything like that, there were so many tries and so much cranking on there, and we filled it up with so much methanol. We actually had to do an oil change right after we got the thing fired up. So some of that got into the bearing before. We knew that when we got back from the dyno. We saw some of that stuff when we checked everything there. But as you can see, it's actually not bad. We're gonna go and check the other ones. How about that? Do we go this way? Is that better? There we go. We're gonna go ahead and check the other ones and see how bad any of the others are. But so far, so good. If they're all like this, we're gonna put them back together and run it. We got all the rods checked. Everything looked the same. I mean, besides from when we did that initial startup and had a bunch of the methanol in the bottom there, where it kind of it roughed the bearings up a little bit, where it just took some of the top coating off, which is completely fine in this. I mean, we have some pretty big rod clearances on here, so that oil gets up in there and stays good. But that's why we want to just double check everything. We believe the oil pressure drop that we had came from the turbo, actually. We had a restrictor in for the turbo feed, and then we took it out, and that was the same time when the oil pressure on our data came down. It may not seem like a lot, but we opened it up from like a 40 thou orifice on there to like a 200 thou orifice, and that's going to be enough to, you know, make everything kind of drop out. So we just put a restrictor back in. We just opened it up a little bit and went to like a 62 or 64 thousandths orifice on there, so we should get that pressure back on there at the top end. Now, the pressure was down, and it wasn't enough where it was like, oh my god, this thing's gonna blow up. But at the same time, with these big clearances, we want to keep that in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil pan cleaned up and back on here with a new gasket. The oil pan rail's got to come get cleaned and everything like that. We're gonna get that done, put this back on there, and then we'll be done for the day. And then we'll get ready to start on the next stuff. We have new shocks showing up, and we also have new wheels and tires that are already here. We'll go show a picture of that here in a sec. But that way we can swap back and forth from radials to big tire and big tire to radials a lot easier. We don't have to change everything. We don't have to worry about the shocks. We can just take them off, put them on, and everything like that. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, get the oil pan on and get ready to start on some of the other maintenance we have to do to this. There we go, we've got it back on. We're gonna hook up a couple of lines here, like this here turbo drain line. Right now. Yeah. Anyways, so we got everything done here. Bearings look good. Like we said, we kind of already figured out where the drop in oil pressure was coming from. It's, you know, increasing at orifice 150 thousandths. You're gonna flow a lot more oil, a lot more anything. Like I said, we got this back on. Everything was good there. Turbo feed, you know, the restrictor in there was obviously the issue. and now we're going to continue to get everything else ready. We're gonna just double check everything else, nut bolt everything, make sure there's no leaks. Thank you guys for watching. Do the subscribe thing and ring the bell. It does stuff, all that stuff on there. And also, we do have our shirts for sale. So, if you'd like to buy one of our Bad Influence Garage shirts, you can go to the link below, and that will take you to our Facebook store, or you can go onto Facebook right here, go to Bad Influence Garage and click on Shops, and it will have all of the links there, and you can purchase everything right through there. It'll run card, everything like that. We do all the shipping. We check it daily. Sometimes it does take us a little bit to, you will see it's a 3-day wait period. Can be up to a 3-day wait period. Sometimes we're at the track, so I can't ship them out when we're at the track. But yeah, go ahead, description below. It'll have the link there. You can go ahead and purchase them. If they say it's in stock, we've got it in stock. I update it weekly, so everything should be good there. Besides that, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. We will see you next time. Be safe out there.